Welcome into a special edition of the Dazn Boxing Show. I'm Chris Mannix, joined by Latino Heat himself, Sergio Mora, as well as Akin Barak, as we take a look back at the most dominant storylines of 2021, a year that will be remembered for a lot of big upsets in boxing. You had George Kambosos dethroning Teofimo Lopez, Alexander Usyk defeating Anthony Joshua, Sandor Martin upsetting the heavily favored Mikey Garcia. There were upsets over the UK as well. You had Kiko Martinez over Kid Galahad, Mauricio Lara over Josh Warrington. It really was the year of the underdog. So I'll start with you, Ak. What was your upset of the year? And since you are a bit of a conspiracy guy, why did we see so many upsets?
Well, first off, I think DAZN is a home of the upsets because all of those fights happen on DAZN, which is great for boxing. And I was thinking, this is the year of the upset, but Barack and I talked about this earlier. Last year, there was tons of upsets. The year before that, this is just boxing, Chris. I mean, boxing is the theater of the unexpected. I don't want to blame it on COVID because everybody had to deal with COVID. Every single fighter that stepped into that ring. I think it makes boxing so much more interesting because it adds players to the divisions. I can't pinpoint one thing. I just think that guys might be underestimating guys more so. Maybe the gap is closing in terms of skill, but it's a great time for boxing because of those upsets.
Well, I would say, at first I would say Sandor Martin beating Mikey Garcia because I just esteem Mikey so high. You know, he used to be on my pound for pound list. I think he's a great fighter. But since his drive and his motivation is now in question at the age of 34, I gotta give it to Kambosos versus Teofimo Lopez. Not that I thought that there was no way he could win, but I thought that there was no way he could win. Teofimo Lopez, out of all of the guys you named, which a lot of those fights was on DAZN, but out of all of the guys you named, Chris, there was one guy that looked unbeatable, and that is Teofimo Lopez. And he beat guys like Loma, he beat guys like Comey in dramatic fashion, and that's why, to me, that was the biggest upset.
And Barack, you make a good point because Mikey Garcia, when he fought Sandor Martin, he was coming off, 20 months inactive, and he was overconfident, and he only lost to Errol Spence. To have to fight a guy like Sandor Martin, that throws a fighter off, especially when you're as great as Mikey Garcia. So I'm with you on this one. I think George Kambosos Jr., whose best fight was Lee Selby, to fight the #1 fighter for all the belts in his home state, in his home city, in the Garden, in the Hulu Theater. I mean, all the stars were aligned for this dude to do something great. George Kambosos came, he saw, he conquered like the Spartan he said he was. It was incredible, man. It was inspiring and historic.
You really can't go wrong with any of those fights, but I've just got a soft spot in my heart for Gabe Rosado. I've been covering Gabe Rosado for like 10 years now, since he was a junior middleweight contender fighting on the NBC Sports Series. And I just, he came into that fight against Bek Melikuziev as kind of the name opponent. Like, he was the guy that was going to help elevate Bek. Bek was the guy that was willing to fight Sergey Kovalev for like $40,000. Like, he was willing to do anything to fight any of the big names because he believed he was that good. His team believed he was the next big thing. He had the Diaz brothers in his corner. He had the amateur pedigree. He had everything going for him. And then Gabe Rosado, the old warrior, comes in and lands a perfect counter shot. That, to me, was the best upset because you had a guy at the very end of his career, had a bad fight, even though some thought he won against Daniel Jacobs. He comes in, he has Freddie Roach in his corner, and Sergio, he just delivered the perfect shot. I know you can appreciate when an older fighter does something special. I thought that was just a special moment for Gabe Rosado.
I agree with you, Chris. That was a definitely special moment. And the only thing that made it different for me, and I didn't pick that particular fight, is because of what you said. People thought he won against Daniel Jacobs. And if you look at his whole career, like, he gets beat up in the early rounds, and then he comes on strong against Kid Chocolate and all these other guys. And we already knew that he is actually a good fighter. He looked to be getting better and better as he got older. So I gave him a chance against Melikuziev.
Not only that, I don't know, Sergio, do you agree that maybe Freddie Roach kind of, he just blew some life into Gabe Rosado the way he did with Cotto at the tail end of his career, because he's putting a lot of energy into Gabe, and obviously just lost against Munguia. But what I'm saying is that he's an attraction now. People want to see, especially after the Jacobs fight, wanted to see what he was going to do next. So I credit a lot of that to Freddie Roach.
No, Freddie Roach. When you have a legend in the corner, you want to actually impress them. But not only that, he moved to LA. He was living in LA, so he was getting that LA sparring. Anyone that's been to the wild card knows that some of the toughest sparring. I mean, Philadelphia has a reputation as well. But you need to go to wild card in some of these gyms in East LA, and you'll get the same exact thing. The toughest sparring all over the country. So the sparring, the great trainer in your corner, and knowing that it's your last chance. No, Gabe could fight. We know Gabe could fight, but him following a game plan and a strategy from Freddie Roach and having him in his corner, yeah, man, it makes all the difference in the world.
Wait, Sergio, are you saying a trainer changed helped a fighter? Because I can't believe you're saying that. I can't believe that's something. Those are words coming out of your mouth.
Well, look, I don't think it was a trainer change. I think it was a personality change for Rosado. Rosado never followed a game plan. He was always blood and guts. He always wanted to out-Philly you. He wanted to out-gut you, take your heart, take your soul. That's not what you do as a 35, 36-year-old fighter anymore. You can't do that anymore. I think Freddie Roach brought that into his camp.
All right, beautiful. So Sergio doesn't like trainer changes, huh?
No, I do not. And I don't like soft people either, Mannix. You are soft.
Wait, hold on. So if Rosado was known as blood and guts, what were you known as?
Hey, I bled a lot too, man.
Great. You just bled.
Come on, man.